If you are a fan of horror or just enjoy uneasy experiences, Tarsier Studios' REANIMAL should be on your radar. While the whispers online reductively frame REANIMAL as the spiritual successor to their previous hit in Little Nightmares, you'll be excited to learn that it isn't quite that simple. This is a new IP. It is a more savage, expansive, and unapologetically grim experience that leverages the extra horsepower of the Switch 2 to deliver a dread that its predecessors only hinted at. And with the added benefit of crossplay and Friends Pass available on all platforms, along with the couch co-op, it's really inviting. From the moment REANIMAL pulls you into its bleak, nightmarish world, it's clear that Tarsier Studios is building on everything it learned from the Little Nightmare series, all while dragging its signature brand of dread into a much more graphic and gut-wrenching new reality. The developers wanted to distance REANIMAL from the Little Nightmare comparisons, and it's achieved that. In no uncertain terms, it's grander, grimmer, and distinguishingly more distressing. It's a grim new direction for the studio, but is this nightmare worth catching, or just a sick twist on a tired tale? Let's find out. The narrative is deceptively simple, but no less disturbing. Two siblings embark on a harrowing rescue mission across a fractured archipelago to save their friends. But the monsters here aren't just bumps in the night. They are grotesque, distorted reflections of nature that feel far more visceral than anything we've seen from this studio before. And I'll try my best not to get into any spoilers, because it really is something to experience for the first time. The game's introduction sets a suffocating tone. You begin adrift in a rowboat swallowed by a thick, ink-like fog, where the only landmarks are the rhythmic, sickly pulses of red buoys. Once the siblings reunite, the cooperative core of the game reveals itself immediately. One player might man the oars while the other raises a flickering lantern to pierce the gloom, and Tarsier has leaned into a whole new realm of unsettling here. The creature designs are genuinely upsetting, tapping into a primal body horror that had me physically recoiling from the screen. Every new threshold had me bracing, unready for the sheer unpredictability of what lay in the shadows. The story builds gradually, distinguishing itself from Little Nightmares as soon as the game progresses. While the first act bears familiar hallmarks, antagonists, and environmental puzzles reminiscent of Tarsier's past work, REANIMAL steadily sets itself apart visually and narratively. And by the final act, the spectacle and layered lore coalesce into a thrilling crescendo. With that said, upon completion, the overall narrative does feel somewhat incomplete, but this could be set up for a sequel or the planned DLC. The standout feature of REANIMAL is undoubtedly its dynamic cinematography. Rather than relying on static side-scrolling perspectives, the camera acts like an unseen predator, unpredictable, unfriendly, but at times unintuitive. As you enter the wide open clearings, the lens retreats until the siblings are mere specks against a decaying landscape, emphasizing your true insignificance. But when the tension is at its highest and during stealth sequences, the camera crowds your personal space, heightening the claustrophobia and making every ragged breath feel audible. And all of this is fantastically propped up by the incredible lighting. It's magnificent, the way the light scatters through the mist and reflects off the oily water, and when you sprinkle in a little nerve-tingling sound design, it all comes together to create an exceptional atmosphere. This directorial flair transforms the game into a playable horror film, and at times, it's truly frightening. The atmosphere created is top tier, and I struggle to think of any recent releases that come close to matching it. And on the whole, the visuals are excellent, even in performance mode, with the resolution dropped to a dynamic 1080p docked and 720p handheld. There are obvious drop-offs in regard to the shadow resolution and particle count, all in aid of hitting 60 FPS, but we'll get to that soon. It could look better, but that's obviously what we have the quality mode for, which was personally my preference. But I switched between both, and the biggest compliment I can pay the game is that it had very little effect on my overall experience, either which way. My biggest point of friction visually was the unpredictability of the camera. I get that it's a part of the experience, but at times it did leave me scratching my head in frustration. Whether you're braving the dark alone or with a partner, The game's core relies on a heavy sense of dependency. In solo play, your AI sibling is impressively sharp, shadowing your movements and reacting to environmental cues without the babysitting frustration often found in companion-based games. When you bring a friend into local or online co-op, the experience shifts towards synchronized survival. Success is measured by your ability to move as one, whether you are pulling heavy machinery in unison or timing your distractions to slip past a predator. Since both characters share the same abilities, there's no weaker player. You are both equally capable and equally vulnerable. The protagonists here feel significantly more grounded and athletic than the fragile dolls of Tarsier's past. They are larger, faster, and more physically present in the world. This increased mobility is necessary because the environments have shed their linear skin. You are no longer just moving from left to right anymore. You're navigating complex, multi-layered zones that demand more than just running. You'll occasionally engage in desperate light melee combat against threats your own size, often requiring a pincer maneuver with your companion to survive. And the exploration has been blown wide open, featuring vehicular segments like the haunting boat journeys that turn the game into a dark odyssey rather than a series of rooms. REANIMAL invites you to poke around its filth-covered corners. The world is littered with hidden masks and cryptic flyers that flesh out the disturbing lore of the island. While the game uses a subtle white glow to highlight interactive objects, it's remarkably restrained and for the most part respects your intelligence, but it can become a source of frustration at times, leading to the occasional pixel hunt where crucial items blend in a bit too well with the dark, grim scenery. And this can momentarily pause your heart-pounding momentum, often leading to a death or two as you scurry around trying to find a key or a crowbar. Now, for performance, the biggest point of friction with REANIMAL. So we have the performance mode with dynamic resolution of 1080p docked and 720p handheld, which obviously has its visual drawbacks, all in aid of hitting a consistent 60 frames per second. And while it tries valiantly, it doesn't quite reach those lofty heights. Throughout the game, the performance mode hovers between 45 and 60, but in all honesty, it's rarely sitting at 60. This is a little disappointing, as the graphical drawbacks are quite severe. You would think it would achieve that goal, but it falls a little short. And then you have the quality mode. It was reported that this was to be locked at 30 frames per second, with native 1080p with DLSS upscaling to 1440 when docked, and a native 720 in handheld. And for the most part, this is actually true, although I wouldn't say it's capped. Besides 3 very niche scenarios, it never dropped below 30, but it does, however, bounce around a little, occasionally jumping to 35, which did at times cause a few frame pacing issues. But the enhanced shadows and denser volumetric lighting really work wonders here, and I was happy to trade the FPS on this occasion to improve the overall atmosphere and feel of the game. But it is a shame they couldn't quite nail that performance mode, but don't let it take away from the fact that both play great. You could argue it's a little nitpicky, but hey, I'm just reporting what I found. In regards to the overall performance, I will add that the load times are a little too long for my liking, especially when you are as terrible at the game as me. I died far too often, and it really did break the immersion a little. Each death greets you with a 15-second load screen. It sounds pedantic, but it does become quite frustrating. Overall, it's about what I was expecting. It is a little disappointing, but it isn't terrible, and it isn't too big of a detraction from the overall atmosphere. Just small points of friction that could be improved, but I can see the FPS being a huge sticking point for a lot of you. The sound design is exceptional though, from ominous rumbles and deep mechanical grinding to creaking floorboards and unnerving howling wind. Every audio cue amplifies the tension. I started using headphones after a couple of hours and it completely transformed the journey, so I'd really recommend playing with them if you want total immersion. It truly is a surreal experience and massively ramps up the stress and tension of the game. You will either thank me or hate me for this. REANIMAL can be completed in about 5 hours without any padding, whether that be in the form of multiple deaths or just getting lost in the imagery. The combination of exploration, environmental storytelling, and collectibles encourages additional replay for players seeking lore and hidden items. Definitely not required, but it is a nice little addition. one that really emphasises the non-linear game design. So, what are we talking price-wise? REANIMAL is currently on the eShop for £34.99. That's €39.99 in Europe, $39.99 in the US, or $53.99 in Canada. It's not exactly a premium price, and you are getting a fantastic game, but there are arguments to be made for the length of the experience. If you have no interest in replaying it or the collectibles, I'd lean towards it maybe being a little too expensive. But overall, it's pretty solid value, as the short time you will have with the story will be memorable. It comes with a reasonable 8.1GB download and is available in physical as a game keycard, along with a collector's edition that comes with some pretty grotesque figures. There are currently 3 additional chapters planned as DLC, the first of which is planned for a summer 2026 release. So, we've come to the ultimate question. Is REANIMAL a beastly good time, or is it just more meat for the grinder? Tarsier Studios hasn't delivered a spiritual successor here. They've performed a surgical evolution by trading the whimsical dollhouse dread of their past for a grittier, industrial hellscape. They've created a horror experience that feels significantly more mature. It's a game that understands the power of silence, the weight of companionship, and the sheer, unadulterated terror of a giant pelican. On Nintendo Switch 2, the game is a technical triumph, even with its minor caveats. While the uncapped quality mode and 15-second loading tax after death can momentarily break the spell, they are small prices to pay for the cinematic scale on display. Whether you're navigating ink-black seas in a rusted boat or sprinting through a trench of twisted limbs, the atmosphere is unmatched on the platform. REANIMAL is short, brutal, and will likely leave you with more questions than answers by the time the credits roll. But it's exactly that lingering, oily sense of unease that makes it special. By expanding their signature style into non-linear environments and high-octane tension, Tarsier has effectively taken the kiddie gloves off. It is an imaginative horror odyssey that feels as intimate as it is terrifying. Despite some performance friction, this is comfortably the studio's best title to date. For anyone looking to test their nerves on their new hardware and their co-op partner, it is an absolute horror essential, and I highly recommend it. If you enjoyed this review, leave a like and comment below on whether you are picking it up. I'll be the first to admit that if you can't look past a few technical scuffs, your mileage may vary. Frame rates are often the most divisive topic in gaming, but in all honesty, their impact is heavily dictated by the genre. In a twitchy competitive shooter, a drop is a death sentence, but in a slow burn nightmare like REANIMAL, the pace is different. This is a game of heavy, deliberate movements and suffocating dread. While the fluctuations in quality mode are there, they rarely break my immersion, because the hold this world has on you isn't built on frames per second, it's built on atmosphere. If you can forgive the occasional jitter in exchange for some of the most haunting visuals on the Switch 2, the trade-off is more than worth it, and hopefully we can get a patch at a later date. And I'll leave you with that as a discussion point. With that said, thanks for watching, stay terrified, and yeah, I'll see you around.
Good night, and good luck to you all.